Thank you for joining me for part 2 of my ghost tour around Lincolnshire. I hope you have checked out part 1. Today, I start in a very rural, isolated part of Lincolnshire, where an abandoned church is revealing its ghostly secrets. Now, you join me outside what I believe to be Lincolnshire's only Palladian-style church. The area that surrounds us is spectacular, remote, and very isolated. I'm not here to tell you about the beautiful surroundings. I am here to tell you of a ghost story that echoes around these woods, particularly in January. I am in the graveyard to show you a particular gravestone that belongs to the man said to be doing the ghostly deeds. The epitaph reads, "To the memory of William Dadley, late gamekeeper at Well, the faithful devoted servant of Robert Adam Christopher Esquire, who was hurried into his Redeemer's presence by the hand of a murderer in the 32nd year of his age, on the 10th day of January, in the year of our Lord, 1839. Now, William Dadley moved to this area in 1838. He was head gamekeeper for Robert Christopher, who was a Member of Parliament. William was very good at his job, and he was in high demand for the efficiency that he did all his jobs as head gamekeeper. In 1839, in January, he married Margaret Brown at the Stump in Boston. 5 days after their wedding, the happy couple held a celebration with family and friends. It was during this celebration in the woods that surround us that the happy wedding party heard shots being fired. Now, poaching in this area was becoming a huge problem, and William, being head gamekeeper, felt he had to act. He was begged not to go into the woods and follow the people, but he felt it was his duty, and he went after the poachers. There was a light dusting of snow on the ground, and they used this to track the poachers. When they got to him, the poachers fired warning shots and told William not to come any closer or he would be killed. William went closer. He was shot at point blank.
You little plonker.
He was shot at point blank range, and he was killed instantly. Now, poaching was a big issue in the area, and the police had a few suspects in mind. They thought that it was a John Baker that pulled the trigger. Now, John Baker was being tried for other offences, and he ended up being shipped to Tasmania. The lucky devil. Play on Tasmanian devil. Wasted. But Stephen Cowley admitted on his deathbed that he was the man that pulled the trigger. John Baker was only merely there. Now, in these woods, next to the tree where William Dudley was shot and killed, there is a marker showing the point where he was killed. Every January, strange occurrences happen in these woods, and people say it is William Dudley going after anybody poaching in the night, or anybody up to no good. Do not play in these woods in January, or William Dudley will come after you. So, you join me outside of the Lincoln Cathedral and outside of Lincoln Castle Hill Club. Castle Hill Club is number 2 on our list. In the shadow of such horrors, it itself has seen its own horrors. There's an apparition that resides in that club that is a very cheeky one, as it's said to pinch the bottoms of the patrons inside. But the reason we are here is because a William Marwood used to stay in that club every night before he would do the hangings in this prison. William Marwood developed a new technique of hanging called the long drop. He convinced the governor of the castle jail to try his new technique. The long drop was different to the short drop, as it would snap the neck of the victim, and the hangman and the staff wouldn't have to watch the person die slowly. It would be more instantaneous, and it would be more humane to the person and for the staff. Now, William Marwood would become infamous because of this technique, and it's a technique that would be used up until the 1960s in this country for hangings in prisons and in other settings. William Marwood's ghost is said to still haunt the top window of the Castle Hill Club. Where is it? That top window. William Marwood would conduct all his hangings in prison, as public hangings, would be abolished in 1868. Because of his technique, he ended up working at Wandsworth Prison, and lots of Wandsworth Prison's hangings were conducted by William Marwood. William Marwood's first victim in the prison was William Frederick Horay, and that was on the 1st of April 1872. His grave is still in Lincoln Castle under Lucy Tower.
So the distance between numbers 2 and 1 isn't very far, so I thought it'd be interesting for you just to walk with me, and if there's anything that I've forgotten, I can tell you. The only thing that I forgot from the Castle Hill Club that I wanted to say is there's always been a building there since the 1640s. Castle Hill Club, the building as it stands now, has been there since 1740. Also, the castle will more than likely get its own video one day.
As mentioned, William Marwood conducted all his hangings within prison walls after the abolition of public hangings in 1868. An example of public execution was the gibbet, and there's the most infamous case of gibbeting in Lincolnshire happened after the man was hung at Lincoln Castle. The man was called Thomas Otter, who was a Nottinghamshire man who had work in this area. He met a Mary Kirkham, and Mary got pregnant with Thomas's child. Now, law stated at the time, this being 1805, that if you got a woman pregnant, you would have to marry her or go to prison. Now, Thomas didn't want this, the prison that is, so he decided to marry Mary. Nobody knew, the magistrates that gave Thomas this option, that Thomas was already married to a woman in Southall in Nottinghamshire. The day Thomas and Mary were married, the couple was seen walking between Disney Nook and Saxelby, and that's the last time the couple were ever seen. Mary was found the day after, dead at the side of the road. The weapon A stake that was used to nearly beat her head off her body was found nearby. Thomas was found guilty and hung in Lincoln Castle. His body was gibbeted near the spot where Mary was killed on Saxelby Moor. It became a tourist attraction in the first few days of them being displayed. I should say, if you don't know what gibbeting is, I was first made aware of it in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. So there you go. What's that? I was 6. Thomas's corpse in the gibbet became a tourist attraction. It was on a gypsy route, and the gypsies met there to drink and party around the corpse of Thomas Gibbet. Thomas was there for over 5 years. Thomas, after 5 years, a blue tit took up a nest in his lower jaw and raised her chicks. This made Thomas Otter a tourist attraction again, and people would flock by and climb the 30 feet in the air along the wooden stake to see the bird's nest in Thomas's jaw. Because of this incident, the rhyme came forth: 10 tongues within one head, 9 are living and 1 is dead. Then one went to get some bread to feed the living within the dead. And my timings are off because I was meant to get to this point as I walked to this bit, but I've been here ages, as you can see. This is...
So a couple of pieces that I wanted to say, which I forgot, were Thomas Otter's gibbet was hanging until it was blown down in a storm in 1850. And yes, that is 44 years. I can't imagine much was left of the body. The remaining bits of iron from the gibbet, the headpiece, can be seen at Donington Hall.
This is the judgment belch at Lincoln Cathedral. Now, when the plague was rife in Europe and wiped out most of this city, there was too many bodies to bury with any dignity. There was mass burials out the front of Lincoln Cathedral. Now it's said, on the anniversary of their burial, they will march to the judgment porch and they would sing for redemption for their lost souls that are lost between heaven and hell. Right, try and do this in one take. Now, what's number 1 on the list is Greystone Steps. Now, the hue of Lincoln's head is said to haunt Greystone Steps, amongst many other ghosts. When the hue of Lincoln was buried, he was chopped into little pieces, and they were sent to cathedrals across Europe. His head remained in Lincoln, in a chest in Lincoln Cathedral. His head was in a chest with gold and gems. Once this was made public, thieves stole the chest and ran from the cathedral down Greystone Steps. The chest, full of gold and gems, was incredibly heavy. and they could not carry it. And they dropped it on Greystone steps. The head of the Hugh of Lincoln fell and rolled down every single step. Now it is said that his head still topples its way down, and if you're in its way, you will topple with it. Now, I will say before I show you Greystone steps, ever since I was a child, this place has always been known as haunted. Local legend will say that this is the most haunted place in all of Lincolnshire. And I will show you now. Another ghost is a grey lady who is seen carrying her baby. The baby is said to be dead, and she walks from out here in front of the crooked lamppost and lays her baby on this flower bed next to my shoulder. The baby is said to be dead. This lamppost has always been crooked. Local legend says that no matter how often you straighten it, the next day it will be crooked. Now the final ghost on our list is from the archway that is just lighting up as we speak. A cleric hung himself from that lamppost many years ago. The man was haunts this place still, wearing his top hat and long coat. The archway is the most haunted part of the steps. Orbs of flashing lights are seen frequently. The cleric was seen very recently, only 3 weeks ago. He is said to be a friendly ghost who is here to help you and guide you up the steps to Lincoln Cathedral. We'll have a walk down. It was said to be from there where he was hung. He was found the next day. So when I was a kid, it was always said your camera wouldn't work on Greystone steps, and I really hope this one does, because it's been 20-minute take. But when I was a kid, unfortunately, we didn't have mobile phones, so I could never check if the camera works. I really hope it does. I'll turn you back around. Harder coming up. Meant to do my goodbye, I'm knackered. Thank you for watching this. Make sure you like and subscribe. Before I go, and the light gets too dim. Last one from me. This is St Anne's Well. Now it is said that if you walk around this structure 7 times and then put your finger in the hole, you will be judged by the devil. If you have been good, you will feel a breath on your finger. But if you have been bad, your finger will be pissing off. People think I'm absolutely mental. Anyway, that was 7. Am I good or am I bad? I'm nervous. Right everyone, thank you so much for watching. It's longer than I anticipated, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed the little walk with me. Please like and subscribe and help me get my finger back. Peace.